Hello and welcome to Shelf Centered. Hey, seriously, thank you so much for coming. Thanks for all the brand new people that are jumping on board and jumping into things with me. I gotta start this out with just a big thank you to David DeCero, Raul Reeds, and Andrew's Wizardly Reads just for shouting me out. And suddenly I go from a goal of 60 for the week to 65, then to 83. It just keeps jumping up. So subscribers, and I'm just, holy cow! I'm flabbergasted. I'm old timey words. I can't thank you guys enough. So a couple of things. Just wanted to jump into a list of my top 10 reads of the year. So top 10. We're talking everything that I've read, whether audio or book or Kindle, whatever, paperback, Kindle, you name it, just from what I've read. Could be from this year or from previous years. So I've got to start out with a couple of honorable mentions. We got some honorable mentions before we just jump into our list of 10. I am actually sticking to 10 this time, unlike my earlier video on my old top 10 list. So first off, this is one. It's a weird one. Sailor on the Seas of Fate, Michael Moorcock. It's technically, in my collections that I have, number 2 in the Elric of Melnibona series, and I'm probably mispronouncing all of those. So this one's a weird one. I mean, you meet a bunch of other Eternal Champions, which Elric is one of, and it's so weird. It's so good. Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it other than you got to read it. It's short enough. It's worth it. This one's really banged up, but what a gorgeous cover, right? I mean, I think it's Frazetta, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, or I will correct myself if I'm wrong. The other one, We Are Legion, the Bobiverse. Just fun, just pure fun, unadulterated fun. Recommended. I'm glad to see, again, indies and self-published books really take off, I feel like, in the last couple of years, and this is one of those, and I think one of the reasons kind of pushing that. And a couple more on audio. I read The Master Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, and I am most likely pronouncing that, no matter if I try to change that or not. But speaking of weird, this one takes weird to a whole nother level. The devil comes to Russia and wreaks just chaos, and it is exactly that. It's so good, and I mean, I don't even know how it was even written in the time that it was written, with everything going on there. It's amazing. Highly recommended that one. And then another one is, and I'm going to be popping these ones up so you'll already have known, One Piece. One Piece just barely skirts the list. That's how good the list is, though. One Piece is so good. Just the first 3 books I read this year. It was, I think, a reread, actually. I want to get back into that. It's fun. My son and I are reading it together, and it's really fun. And by reading it together, I mean I read it and then he read it. But it's good. Okay, so jumping into things. This isn't really, it's not like, yeah, it's technically going to be 10 books, but I'm going to go out of order. There's no real set order. Maybe the last couple might be at the top, but that's about it. That's about as much of an order as you're going to get here. So because you're going to hear the first one and go, really, that's number 10? And it's not. So it's in there. The Player of Games by Ian M. Banks is my first one I will talk about of the 10. So Player of Games is excellent. It's science fiction. It's Ian M. Banks. I hear others are even better, but this was recommended to me as a starting point, even though it's book 2 in the Culture series. So Player of Games, it was good. It's just the best game player on Earth, essentially, is chosen to go play in this like alien culture, and knowing that he's so good with any game that he touches here on Earth, that he's going to kill it over there. And this game over there is it's integral to the society, and so they have, like, if you win it, then you essentially become the ruler over the whole place. So it was good. It had some good twists and turns and just some interesting, like, it doesn't even actually get into real gameplay of anything, but it's just so well told that you're oh no, is he going to make the right move? Uh, you're like, who even knows what a move is in this game? You barely even know what the game is, but it's thrilling and just excellently done. I am a fan of Ian M. Banks, and I will be reading more. And I've already talked about, I've got Consider Phlebas on the list, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So then we're going to jump, another one I read. This is actually another self-published book, The Dark Trials, T. James Kelly. I have a review coming up. I do always have to warn, this actually is a friend of mine. It was excellent, though. I really enjoyed this, and I thought it was great. A girl, it starts out with this demon is essentially haunting this girl, and then she makes a pact with it, and it goes, The Dark Trials is right. It's awesome. Actually, I'm on book 2, and it's already really entertaining, so highly recommended. And there's that one, definitely on my list. This one I just did a review on, Chasm City. It's technically a prequel in the Revelation Space universe. I will definitely be reading more Revelation Space. I've only done the first book, Revelation Space, in the trilogy. And then this one, the prequel, I'm kind of going by publication order. This was excellent. You can see my review, and I won't waste your time more on that one. All right, Unsold and Soulsmith is the next on the list. These are just pure joy. They're so much fun. I think it's progression fantasy. It's this. I've been learning more about it, more of the categories. You don't always have to categorize everything, but because what's entertaining to read is entertaining to read, and but I guess it has these kind of things where you level up essentially like a video game, right? It's pure fun. They are just excellent action, and the progressiveness of getting from one level to the other is just so wrapped up into the story. It's excellently done. And then I'm reading this year, similar kind of vein. I put them in the same kind of vein, at least. On the Shoulders of Titans, I think is what it is. One of these ways. Why did I write things down poorly and in my handwriting? If only I had my phone, but it's recording me. So, On the Shoulders of Titans, that's the second book in the Arcane Ascension. I don't know if it's probably like 7 or 8 books planned. There are 3 technically out right now. The first one is Sufficiently Advanced Magic. I cannot recommend the series enough. It's just, again, it's one of those that I pretty much, as I'm listening to them, I have a smile on my face the whole time, and I can't wait to hear more, and it's so much fun. Let's see. Let's go. The Labyrinth of Flame was a Kindle read for me. It's the 3rd and final book in the Shattered Sigil trilogy by Courtney Schaefer. This is one of those hugely under the radar books that and the trilogy itself. It needed more, but it kind of fell prey to the whole debacle back in the day of Nightshade Press. Is that what it is? And hers just didn't survive, so she had to kickstart the last book, but it deserved to be up there. It deserves to be read and published and seen by as many people as possible. That's a great one. I need to do a review on that series because it's highly recommended and way under the radar. I need to do an under the radar video recommendations. I know people don't usually put rereads on their lists. I'm going to, just for the fact that I had reread it for the sequel that came out this year, and I'm definitely not adding the sequel on though I didn't find the sequel as bad as I think most people did. But it's Ready Player One, and so I felt like I did really have a fun time with this. This was the first time I read it in with my eyeballs instead of my ears, and so this was really just, I mean, it's pure fun. Again, apparently that's all I'm doing this year now. But it's so good. It's so good to nerd out. I worry that Ernest Cline in later books kind of thinks that the only geek is an 80s nerd geek. And it kind of just that concept of being so 80s focused gets a little frustrating to me. But it works in this. In this, it makes sense because it's built into it so well. Other things like Armada, it's just not built in very well. Ready Player One is still up there for me. Still quite fun. All right, we're definitely getting down to the kind of top reads for me. These were just the 5 stars and probably more if I could give them to them. Kings of the Wyld. Kings of the Wyld is like, I know pure fun has been the theme of this list, and apparently what I was very interested in this year. But it's hilarious. Kings of the Wyld, just it's so funny. And then when you realize, oh, there's these Easter eggs for classic rock and bands, and then my whole theme of my review on Goodreads was, and somehow it works. I don't know how, but it works. So Kings of the Wyld, definitely check that one out. Then the big one I think of this year for releases, Battleground, and I'll add Peace Talks too. I know I read that last year, but Battleground and Peace Talks, or did they both come out last year? They both came out last year, didn't they? So Battleground and Peace Talks, but I read Battleground this year. Excellent. Dresden somehow, it went from like popcorn, like, oh, this is kind of, it's little, one-off episodic adventures and, quirky one-liners, to deep, huge events, pathos. I mean, just huge things happening. Oh my gosh, I'm still crushed by some of the losses in Battleground. It is so intense. And this world is huge and intricate, and it's gone into detail so well. Jim Butcher, it went from like, hey, this is some popcorn fun if I'm bored and I can read something, to literally probably one of my top 10 of all time series. Dresden Files is just excellent. Then this is one. I finally did it. This is probably my at least most proud accomplishment this year, because this was one. It was many years in the making. This baby, we did it. In January, I finished this sucker up, and it was so good. It was so good. I cannot wait. I can't wait to see how it's done on the big screen, on the small screen. What is it now? The internet screen. The streaming service. So it's going to be screaming. What a great ride. Wheel of Time. I did it this year, and I'm pretty proud of myself. And anyone who's working their way through these books should be as well. So I still flabbergasted at how Sanderson took on the reins and made it as seamless as he did. You can't be perfect. He's not Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan is not him. I remember at the time when I wasn't reading, I kind of had taken a break on Wheel of Time, and Sanderson was focused on these books, and I was like, and he had just released Stormlight Archive, and I was like, I just want more of that. I was so mad that he was writing for these. I was like, why? Write your own work. That's what I want to see. And now some little maturity, little perspective, I guess. I'm so happy that he finished, and we have such a great conclusion. I mean, we earned that conclusion, right? I mean, that it was earned, and it was so well done. And then and we still have the Stormlight Archive, and it's still going. So so we have best of both worlds. So I can't really knock it, but I remember at the time being mad. I wanted more Sanderson. Who cares? Like we don't need that. That's taking too long. But man, am I so glad that he finished it, and I'm glad that I was able to finish it. So that's top 10 of the year, and we're gonna get new segment I wanted to do today in mispronouncing fantasy names. Malazan. I'm sure I'm making people crazy with that one. Malazan, I know it's Malazan. All right, we're going to make this a thing. This is going to be a thing. All right, hey, thanks for liking and subscribing. Appreciate it. Seriously, thank you for just letting me have fun and actually coming back for more. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. So, appreciate it.